RX Academy is back for 2019, the third season of this fantastic concept, providing a professional training ground for young drivers aspiring to reach the very top of the sport. Not only racing identical single-make factory-built Renault Clio RS/RXs, the RX Academy drivers receive coaching in all aspects of being a modern-day motorsport athlete, with the help of some of the biggest names in the business. Driver tuition comes from the likes of WorldRX event winners Reinis Nitish and Topi Heikkinen, with participants also learning about working with the media, engineers, their spotters, and the physical and mental preparation necessary to become a professional driver. Another crucial aspect is, of course, the calendar, and it doesn't get much better than this. We start the season with a double header at the legendary Holjes, then it's over to Denmark for Nisum, Riga, a visit to another WorldRX track, Kuvula, which of course has hosted World Rallycross in the past, and finishing the season at Tierp in Sweden. This year's competitors met for the first time just a few weeks ago in Finland at the Rallycross Academy's pre-season training camp. An opportunity for some fun competition and to learn some new skills, but also some crucial classroom time with the likes of Jussi Pinamäki, telling the drivers what's to come in the season ahead. So let's meet the first of those drivers, Markku Muru from Estonia, returning for a second season of Rallycross Academy, 2 podiums last year, and hoping for more of the same in 2019.
For Holjes, I think to win because I showed really good pace last year there, but had some unluck at the start of the semi-final that got pushed out. But yeah, this year trying to win at least one event, that would be nice. Of course, to win is the first hope or goal, but it's going to be hard as the competition is really light. But yeah, I'm more confident than last year and trying to do my best and see what happens.
Next up, Clementine Lost. The 20-year-old French driver has previous experience of racing on ice in the Andros Trophy, but this year will be all new, switching to the gravel and tarmac of Rallycross.
I choose RX Academy because for me it was an evidence. The concept was really good. I mean, we can have some train with mental, physical, and practice a lot. So this is something new for me. And also the Clio RS/RX is a car I really wanted to drive and test, and I'm really happy to test it before. And because I found the concept drive in a new country, I mean Latvia, Denmark, Sweden and Finland is, I think, really amazing, and we don't have this kind of concept still in France, so I think it was really something good to do. I've never drive a car like this before. I mean, all the time I drive a car where the weight was behind, so now I should learn to drive with in front wheels, so it's really interesting. Also, the car is more powerful. So during the test, of course, Rallycross means there is tarmac and gravel. So I learned a lot and it was just amazing. I learned a lot and now I'm just waiting to drive for the first time a race in Holjes.
Another driver looking at a change in surface is Rasmus Tuominen. The 18-year-old Finnish driver has a background in karting and Finnish circuit racing and is looking forward to making his Rallycross debut.
It's exciting to be here racing Rallycross, getting a new experience with new cars and taking the gravel is new. I would like to get good results, not to crash in the first race. It would be horrible.
Another young Finn coming from a karting background is Jonne Ollikainen. The 16-year-old is making the switch to Rallycross as he sees it as a career path for the future.
I chose RX Academy because I have always liked Rallycross, and I think this is the best way to start Rallycross and learn how the things are done. It was nice to meet all the drivers and get to know them better. There are some drivers I have known for quite a few years, but also some new faces for me.
18-year-old Tommy Howman is already familiar with gravel. He comes from a rally driving background, but with some experience in folk race too, he could be a real threat.
Cars are amazing. I've tested 15 laps last summer and it was really nice to drive.
20-year-old Joni Heikkinen has experience of racing rallycross, but from an esports perspective. Until he tested the RX Academy car, the young Finn had never driven a real race car on a real racetrack.
First time I drive with Clio, it was really nice. Not, of course, a little bit different than sim racing, but not so much. Well, I think it transitions to sim racing to real cars. It just take a little bit time. But I really think I will learn. My hopes in this season is, of course, a champion. I wanna win. I wanna win every race, but don't know how legal it is to win already in here because it really is just my first race.
16-year-old Jimi Kalliomäki is the second of our returning drivers. He won the first round last season and is sure to be a threat again this year.
Last season was my first season when I drive normal car. Before that I drive only cross kart. And now it's my second season when I drive normal car. I think it's helped so much. When I win Holjes last year, it was my biggest moment in my driving career, and that was perfect weekend for me, and yeah, everything going good.
The youngest competitor in this year's lineup is Luca Nurmi. The 15-year-old has experience in karting, but has a lot to learn about rallycross.
That's my first season, so my goal is to learn basics of rallycross and to be ready for next season and win.
Well, before we see the drivers get on track, let's see the challenge that awaits them, and it is some challenge. The legendary Holjes in Sweden, of course, familiar from the World Rallycross Championship. This place is a real roller coaster. We ride on board with Tommy Howman on the way down towards turn 1. There's a big crest in this right-hander. Need to keep it tidy because then it's to the Joker lap split. So you head right for the Joker, left for the standard lap. Howman takes the left-hand line. You can see some opposite lock as he turns into turn 2. Back onto gravel and then braking again. Big curbs on the left and on the right. You can monster those in a World Rallycross car. Howman is a little bit more careful with his use of the curbs in these fantastic Renault Clio RSRXs. Up into the velodrome, around the long left-hander. Get the car hooked up and then on the gas and feeding it gears down onto the gravel section over the crest. This is the most committed part of the track, close to the barriers on the inside. In towards the right-hander. Now get the car straight before you hit the crest. Big jump. On the brakes and down into the last corner. A long left-handed hairpin where again in these front-wheel drive machines you need to scrabble for the grip as you cross the finish line. At the end of qualifying for the first round of 2019 RX Academy, this is how they stand at Holjes in Sweden. Tommy Howman with a fantastic performance, making the switch from rally to rallycross. Was stuck in traffic during Q1 and Q2, but a brilliant performance to win Q3 and take the first top qualifier spot of the season. Markku Muru ended up P2, having won Q2, while Rasmus Tuominen looked like he was on for top qualifier after Q1, but had a DNF in Q2, which put him down into third. Jimi Kalliomäki was actually third fastest all day but didn't win a session, so finds himself in fourth. Then it's Heikkinen, Ollikainen, Nurmi and Lost. The semi-final lineup in RX Academy works the same way as it does in World RX, so the odd numbers go to semi-final 1 and the evens to semi-final 2. So semi 1 features Howman and Tuominen on the front row with Heikkinen and Nurmi on row 2. Semi-final 2, it's Muru and Kalliomäki to do battle down towards turn 1 with Ollikainen and Lost on the second row. Let's head down to the pre-grid and have a catch-up with some of the drivers ahead of the first semi-final.
Finally got a clean run in Q3 and set the fastest time. Happy with that?
It was a good run, and I think now we are in a pole position, so I will hope for a good start and then a clean run again. It's a tricky track, but also very great to drive. I will try to go in the first place after first turn and then try to just go with the normal track and go for the Joker in the last lap.
How are your nerves at this stage in your RX Academy debut?
It's really stressful, but it always is.
Rasmus, not the easiest day for you in your RX Academy debut. Didn't finish in Q2, but a good fight back in Q3. Front row for the semi-finals. What can you do from here?
Just play smart game now. Just keep behind Tommy and make the final.
Is that your strategy, to stay behind him, not Joker early and try and leapfrog him?
If I have the speed, then I will go, but if I don't have, then play smart.
You've taken a race win, you've had some difficult battles in traffic as well, didn't finish Q1. What are your hopes for the semi-final?
to get to final, so to be top 3. I think it's not going to be easy, but I do my best.
Here we go then, time for the first semi-final of the year. On the front row, taking the first TQ of the year, Tommy Hauman. Next to him, Rasmus Tuominen. And on row 2, it's Joni Heikkinen and Luka Nurmi. My name's Andrew Coley. Joining me on commentary is Hal Ridge. We are on board with Nurmi, and that's a jump start. So Heikkinen has made a jump start immediately in the semi-final, and that's going to cost him dear. A penalty joker lap, of course, just as it is in the World Championship. If you jump the start, you have to take another attempt at the longer joker lap. Okay, then hopefully this time we will get away. Tuominen on board here. Hauman is just across to his right. They'll be eager to hook it up. Hauman gets a great start. So Hauman with good traction away from the line. He's going to get down to turn 1 first. Tuominen's going to slot in behind him. You're on board with Tuominen now. Moves across and shuts the door on the cars behind him. Tidily done. A little bit sideways. Hauman is straight on the brakes and away and over the crest for the first time. How good start by the TQ man.
Yeah, definitely, and a good decision from Heikkinen to take the joker lap there, get out of the traffic, get his head down, set some quick lap times and hopefully catch up with the guys in front.
Interesting that it's Heikkinen who's jumped the start. How he comes from an esports background. You know, he's up against it this weekend. It's the first time he's raced in a real car on a real track.
Absolutely, yeah. He was talking to me in the paddock earlier about the start procedure in esports and how it's very different to Rallycross. When the yellow light goes out in this procedure, that's the ready to race light going out. When the yellow light goes out in esports, that's the race start, and it's very difficult for him to make that transition.
Huge amount to learn. We ride on board with Hauman as he comes down towards the last corner. A little bit of opposite lock and then quite a lot of lock to get the car turned in. He looks to have lost a little bit of ground. They've got to keep it tidy in these things.
You have, yeah, classic front wheel drive, bit of understeer followed by a bit of oversteer followed by another bit of understeer. Really, really difficult to stay on top of the car and keep full momentum.
Heikkinen looks to have taken his second joker lap on lap 2, so Heikkinen's gone in for the second joker immediately. I suppose really doesn't have any options. How when you're lying in P4, he wants to make it through to the semi-final. He knows he's now going to have to try and close the gap down, but it is a big gap.
Yeah, and he's got Tommy Heikkinen as his designated spotter because he started in 4th on the grid, and he would have told him that's the best thing to do, just get your head down and drive your own laps.
Now talk to us about spotters, because this is a unique situation, is it, where the spotters are actually allocated by grid position. And again, this is another, look at that over the jump, fantastic stuff from Tuominen. Another great feature of the RX Academy is these guys don't have the same spotter all the while.
They don't know. RX Academy is all about equality. They're exactly the same cars, exactly the same tyres, exactly the same tyre pressures, and that goes down to the mechanics and the spotters and the driver coaches through the weekend as well. So at the start of the weekend, there's a driver draw as Nurmi takes the joker.
On board with Nurmi as he goes in, tidily done on the loose, judges the grip just right. He's now got to get the gas down, find some traction. He comes out in front of Heikkinen. I have to say, Heikkinen, having done 2 joker laps already, was actually closer than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he looked very racy over Holjes' second jump there. Oh, he goes a little bit wide there on the throttle, a little bit too early. These cars are so difficult to stay on the line all the time, and Heikkinen's experience in esports is generally in rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive cars, so this front-wheel drive configuration is new for him as well.
Tuominen over the jump. It fascinates me, the jump from esports. You know, you can be brilliant at playing football on a console, a PS4 or an Xbox, but it doesn't make you a great footballer. But genuinely, esports is a great way to practice motorsport because so much of it's the same. But then again, as we look back at Heikkinen again, there are elements which are different. Tuominen's gone joker, so Tuominen goes joker. You know, you have the bravery, you have the fear, you have the risk of hurting yourself in a real car. Lovely stuff from Tuominen. Comes in to rejoin. Is he going to hold on to P2? He does. Slots across to the left and uses these brilliant curves. Hal, I love Holjes. I've made no secret of the fact it's one of my favourite tracks on the World Rallycross Championship. How lucky are these guys to be doing their first ever Rallycross round in the RX Academy here?
Absolutely, and this is one of the best sections in the world of Rallycross as well. Down this hill, flat in 6th gear. They've got to get the car to the left and then quickly to the right on the curb and over the jump. But you've got to stay straight over the jump because the landing is critical for the braking into the last corner.
Tuominen up to and over that jump, and in front he can see Hauman. Hauman's got away. Is it enough time, Hal, do you think, for him to take the joker?
It's between 3.5 and 4 seconds in dry conditions, so it's going to be super tight on the merge.
So Hauman then will know from his spot how close this is. He slots the Clio off to the right-hand side over the loose. He's got to keep it tight on the left here. Nicely done, not too much steering locked through, then finding some grip on the exit. Lovely, shuts the door, and Tuominen clearly behind him. Great job there by Hauman. This, though, is the fight for the last space in the final.
Absolutely. Are we going to see a last moment move from Heikkinen to make that last spot and get on the back of the grid?
Heikkinen has done really well here. It seems to me that when he's on the back of another car, he can really find the pace, and I'm sure we're going to see more from him as the season goes on. But it is Houman from Tuomen and down through that gravel section now, and barring any mistakes, Houman is going to take that TQ, add on a semi-final win, and put himself on pole position for the first final of the year. Down to the last left-hander, it is Houman who's going to take semi-final number 1. Tuomen and crosses the line in P2. Where are Nurmi and Heikkinen? Heikkinen's right up underneath him. Heikkinen having a look up the inside on the exit. Can't find enough though. And it is Nurmi who goes through. Fantastic job though by Heikkinen with 2 joker laps to be that close to the back. Tommy Houman takes semi-1 from Rasmus Tuomen and Luka Nurmi. Joni Heikkinen is out.
Tommy, you had a plan and you executed it in the first semi-final. A good start and led from start to finish, but quite a lot of pressure in the early laps.
Yeah, a lot of pressure and had to be really on it to win the race.
And how much confidence does that give you now ahead of the final, starting from pole position for the first round of RX Academy 2019?
Yeah, the pole position is very good, but of course other drivers are very fast as we saw in the semi-final, so has to be really perfect run to be able to win.
Joni unfortunately made a jump start in the semi-finals. I had to take 2 jokers, but you pushed really hard and you were so close to making the final at the end.
Yeah, pace was good. Best what I have done there, but not enough.
And quite sensible driving from you in the last couple of laps. I think it could have been easy to overdrive and try and push your way past, but played it sensible. You've got round 2 tomorrow, so in a good position for that.
Yeah, I had really good feeling on driving. I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, if you've never been to a Rallycross paddock before, it's about time you took a tour, and there's no better man to take you on that tour than WorldRX race winner Reinis Nitish, of course one of the coaches for the RX Academy.
All the spectators who are walking next to the tents, they see just a little bit, but I will show you everything what is inside. Guest lounge, this is important. All the parents, you know, sitting, smiling, taking coffee. They have some snacks, fruits. Normally they have more cookies than we have on the other side, but anyway, they need to feel good to spend money in motorsport. Then we come here, and here the racing thing starts. All the cars in a queue. Okay, before we go forward, you can see also catering. Lunch just happened before semi-finals, and yeah, this is the small place, but it's nice. We continue with the cars. We have 8 drivers, 8 cars, and the most important things are they are completely equal. The same tires, the same tire pressures, the same damper setup. The mechanics choose by lottery for each driver, and also every driver have their own trainer and their own spotter. It means before the race we choose who will be spotter, who will be trainer, and who will be mechanic for each car to make it completely equal. We have a bus there where people are sleeping in the night. Not everybody, but quite few mechanics, because sometimes it's late evenings and early mornings. Here we have one of the drivers and Kalle. Kalle, you want to mention something about the project and how it looks here, or you will continue your...
We're making some tactic at the moment. So
okay. You see, Kalle is a spotter for him, and they are making tactics already from the semi-finals. This is the spare part truck. Inside all the parts, tires, everything what you can see. This is the tent where magic happens. It's media center. It's 2 tables full with the computers, cables, printers, everything. I think not many understand what happens there. Drivers and coaches only. Not for everybody, not for parents. Here are the drivers. They are 5 at the moment here. Chilling, you know, they are like VIP guests. Sleeping, chilling, enjoying, preparing for races. All the helmets are nicely done on the table. They have only fruits, no cookies, water, and some special, I don't know, without sugar, I don't know, something. And here it's the place where I work, where Topi works, and Alexi. 3 computers, we are coaches and analyzing the data. What you do now? Semi-final next. What's there? V-box.
Yeah, we're watching the V-box and the data what Clem had done during the driving, so we analyze it and check what we can do better in the next one. And
how is she doing?
She's doing good, and which is the most important thing is that we're taking steps forward all the time, and that's really important when you are in RX Academy, that you learn all the time when you're driving.
Okay, I like to be always positive, never negative. And yeah, mainly that's it. One more thing which is important. If one of these guys crash, then you see there we have extra car. An extra car is for spare parts, or in case somebody damaged the car badly, then we just put the driver in a new car, fresh car, and he continues racing. Thank you for watching. That's it from RX Academy paddock, and I think it looks great.
Semi-final 2 coming up. Earlier on we had a catch up with some of the drivers about their thoughts ahead of the race.
Starting on the outside, is that a disadvantage? How are you going to negotiate the first corner?
I don't know. If I get bad start, then I follow Muru, or if I get good start, I go first corner and leave space for Muru, and then next corner overtake.
And the target, of course, is to be top 3 to make the final.
Yeah, of course.
Jonna, you've had a really consistent first day in RX Academy in qualifying. How are you feeling ahead of the semi-finals?
Decent. I have been struggling a bit with my speed, but I think my start has been okay and like this. So now I just think my speed have to be better, so I can challenge Marko and Jimmy in semi.
Semi-final 2 then on the pole, Marko Muru with Jimi Kaliamäki next to him. And then it's Jonna Ollikainen and Clementine Lost. Marshall's leaving the grid. On board on row 2, looking across, but we're looking at row 1. This is all about Marko Muru on pole. And he gets a bad start, so Muru has a bad start. Kaliamäki has managed to get ahead already, so Kaliamäki going to look to try and go around the outside. How late does Muru dare to go on the brakes? Too late! Muru into the side of Kaliamäki. How did Kaliamäki hold on to that? Gets down into turn 1. All 4 drivers heading around the standard lap. Hal, I might have taken the opportunity to joker from the back of that pack, but my goodness me, what a job holding on to that.
Yeah, Kaliamäki did a great job there. What do? You've got to turn in. You've made a better start than the guy alongside you, and that Holjes first corner is so renowned for big action like that.
If Muru had taken him out there, I actually think the stewards would have stepped in anyway and said, look, you can't just drive through someone, but they don't need to, because Kaliamäki with the save of the day, and look at the gap he's got now, but he's run a bit wide on the gravel there.
He did run very deep, didn't he? But he is pulling a gap on Muru, and of course Kaliamäki won here last season. He won the first round and wasn't able to repeat that, but here he really, really loved this circuit.
Muru looking very relaxed on board, I have to say, not using too much lock as he comes through that last left-hander. Kaliamäki in the lead. Clementine Lost. I might have jokered on lap 1. In fact, she's dropped off the back of the pack now. When the cars bunch up like they did in turn 1, and in fact, Kaliamäki makes another mistake. So
and Clementine's made a little bit of a mistake there on the exit of the first corner. Lost a little bit of time.
I think she's gone joker. So Clementine Lost has gone joker in the background. But Kaliamäki now, we've seen 2 mistakes now, Hal. We saw one coming down the hill. We saw another one on the brakes into turn 1. He's under pressure.
He is, yeah. Muru's been really quick today, and Kaliamäki knows he needs to get the hammer down. If Muru jokers early and gets a good lap in, he could well overtake him.
Looking down towards the gear stick there, trying not to use too much gas or too much lock. That was better on the run down the hill into the right-hander. A little bit sideways through the very, very quick right and over the jump. Kaliamäki continues to lead from Muru round the long left. Hal, talk to us a bit about these cars. I know you mentioned earlier on that the setup's the same, but that goes down even to the tyre pressures.
Yeah, and even where the tyres are used. So they get 2 new tyres for each event, and those get swapped at the end of qualifying, front to rear, as Muru goes for the joker, as we predicted.
So Muru's gone joker, tidily done, knocks it down a gear. On board with him now as he goes through the left and then the right, and he's going to come back out in P3.
He is so smooth with his inputs, isn't he? For a rallycross driver, not a circuit driver, where we'd be used to seeing them very gentle with the steering wheel, he is really, really smooth.
Back up to P2. We're looking at Ollikainen in the black car. Marko Muru through the left-hander. I have to say, very impressive indeed. Again, Kaliamäki just running slightly down. To be fair, behind him Ollikainen as well.
So difficult to hug that barrier on the inside. Not only is it incredibly scary, but the front wheel drive car is wanting to push out all the time. It's trying to drag you away from that barrier, so you're turning into it, and that makes it even more of a challenge.
So it's almost when you swap surface from tarmac to gravel, then the car just washes away. Over the jump, crest in turn one. Not quite a jump in these cars. This bit here is a jump in a supercar. Of course, these guys we hope to come back here in a supercar and enter the magic weekend in future round of the World Rallycross Championship. Here we can see P2 and P3. Muru looks like, well, of course, he's jokered already, and Ollikainen, I think, is in danger here of losing out. Ollikainen should maybe have responded the lap after, Hal.
I don't think Ollikainen was in the fight for winning this race, but he's comfortably into the final now, isn't he? He's built a good gap. He'll be happy with that, I think.
Ollikainen in P2, you're looking at Muru. Muru will be hoping that Ollikainen gets out the way and he can maybe close the gap down to leader in front. There is that transition from tarmac to gravel. Oh, sideways from Ollikainen and Muru in the background. These guys trying really hard. Into the long left again, and we're on to the last lap for Kaliamaki. So Kaliamaki will have to joker this time round. The green car at the front of the field. Watch for where he's going to come back in. Ollikainen, I don't think has enough time to hold on from Muru. It could be close between them. Kaliamaki should be tightly out in front. And you can see Kaliamaki there on the onboard, popping up over the curb. And indeed, Ollikainen comes out in P3, Muru in P2. So Kaliamaki had a big gap.
He's done a great job there, hasn't he? Because Muru has been fast today and had the hammer down. I wonder if he made a mistake that we didn't see, because that's a big gap on the exit.
So Kaliamaki then looking likely to take this. Muru winding the lock-on through the velodrome section, on the gas down the hill, and these three guys looking to book their slot in the final. Clementine lost a little way off the back of the pack this time. Doesn't look like she's going to make it here in Holjes, but a whole season of action to come. And Kaliamaki around the long left-hander will go on to the front row in the final next to Hallman. Fantastic performance. P2 goes to Muru and P3 to Ollikainen. Confirmation of the result then. Second semi-final goes to Jimi Kaliamaki from Marko Muru and Joni Ollikainen. Clementine Lost is out.
Jimi, a brilliant start, led from start to finish. Happy to win semi-final too?
Yeah, that was perfect semi-final for me.
You've clearly got the pace now. What are your hopes for the final, starting from the front row, outside again as you were in the semi-final?
I hope I get a good start and have the pole position and lead and win.
On to the first final of the year, and it's Tommy Hallman, the TQ man from Jimi Kaliamaki, Marko Muru and Rasmus Tuominen, Joni Ollikainen and Luka Nurmi. Pressure on for the first win of the year. Hallman versus Kaliamaki down to turn one. Great start across the front row then, so Hallman has managed to get it hooked up. Kaliamaki is alongside him, but I think Hallman's going to get the whole shot here. He's going to need to shut the door. He's going to get up the inside, so he does. Kaliamaki shuts the door a little bit sideways. We run on board with Tuominen. Tuominen goes joker straight away, reaches across, knocks it down a gear. Oh, absolutely line astern over the jump, and who's gone joker with him? So it's Tuominen and Nurmi have gone joker on lap one, Hal.
Oh, Kaliamaki gets out of shape on the curve there. He's pushing really hard to chase down Hallman here. They both won their semi-finals. Kaliamaki wasn't quite able to do the round the outside manoeuvre in turn one that he did on Muru in the semi, but he's pushing hard in second.
He is indeed. Hallman leading as they come down the hill for the first time. He'll be looking to gap these guys behind, and now that we've got 6 cars in this hell, it comes down much more to spotter tactics and when you joker.
Absolutely, and this is Hallman's first ever Rallycross event, getting used to working with a spotter. He's used to a co-driver in rallying, but the spotter in Rallycross is very different. He's benefiting though because he was on pole in both the semi and the final lap, means he's kept the same spotter, so Jussi Pinamaki will be familiar to him and he'll be pushing him hard to stay at the front and get a good gap.
Pinamaki, of course, the man behind Set Promotion, behind Gronholm RX in the World Championship, and behind the RX Academy. You know, you couldn't have a better spot than that. I have to say, I'm very impressed with Hallman, because for me, when rally drivers come across to Rallycross, the thing they lack the most is racecraft.
But he's also competed in folk race too, which is not so dissimilar to Rallycross, so he does have some experience at least, even though he's been rallying more recently. Now we ride on board with Marko Muru.
15 years old, Hal. You can start in this championship at such a young age, and it is important if you want to get quick to be in these cars from a young age.
Absolutely. My experience when I was 15 was very different, but these guys are learning so much about everything they need to do, and they're at an age where they absorb so much. They're really applying themselves. All of them are really applying themselves, learning a huge amount about what they need to do to better themselves and become professional drivers.
In the background, we can see Tuominen. I think he's making up ground on this leading four. And indeed, Kaliamaki goes Joker now. So Kaliamaki has gone Joker. Is he trying to protect his position in the background? Watch for Kaliamaki coming out in the green car's going to shut the door. Oh, he just manages to get out in front. Tuominen, great tactics there from his spotter because Tuominen was on a mission.
Little nudge in the rear.
Into the rear, so a little nudge from Tuominen. He pushes him wide. So Kaliamaki's going to try and go around the outside through the velodrome. Might get the car back on the inside here. He can find some traction. Not quite enough, so Tuominen gets the position. It was only a nudge. What do you think?
Tricky, isn't it? Push to pass, bumper to bumper. Questionable, that might go to the steward.
Okay, well, on board with our leader, Hellman. No such problems for him. Winds the lock on. Little bit of handbrake in the middle of the corner there.
It went a little bit deep, didn't he? He just tried to drag the front back in. Very difficult to drag the front in with a handbrake in the front-wheel drive car when you're going at that speed. It's quite slow, and it doesn't really help the rotation of the car too much.
Hellman's going to hold on to Joker on the last lap, as is Muru, Ollikainen too. So the front three have decided not to Joker. I wonder if Ollikainen could have gone, but to be honest, Ollikainen is in danger already. Is Tuominen and Kaliamaki are right there. If Ollikainen went, then he's just going to lose out. I guess he wants to hold on to that P3 as long as he can and see if something happens behind him.
No, he's in a difficult position now, and realistically he's off the podium unless something happens to the other guys around him, because he will Joker, and it's, as we know, 3.5-4 seconds. He's going to drop behind these two at least, regardless of what the two in front do.
Tuominen pulling gears, sequential gearbox in these cars. These are proper rallycross cars, they really are. Loose through that lovely right-hander, tidily done. A little bit of opposite lock over the jump, on the brakes and down into the hairpin again. Hellman onto the last lap. This then is crucial. It's all about Jokers. Hellman, Muru and Ollikainen have to Joker now. What will Tuominen and Kaliamaki do? Hellman goes in. Muru's going to go with him. It's tidy from Hellman. He's under no danger at all. Could be close for Muru as well. So Hellman's out in the clear. Muru's going to try and shut the door. You're on board with him now, and he loses one position. Is he going to lose another? Kaliamaki's alongside him. Kaliamaki into the side of Muru. Muru with a big push. Kaliamaki up over the gravel. Muru's right up underneath him. Didn't manage to get through, but certainly let him know he was there. Hellman, no trouble out front. Super close on this last lap.
Classic Joker merge there, and Kaliamaki lucky to get away bouncing over the curb. Doesn't look like he's got a puncture, because that was quite a big impact.
Hellman comes around the long right-hander. It's been a brilliant performance for the rally driver. With the experience from Folk Racers, put it all to good use. He's going to take round one of RX Academy 2019. Hellman crosses the line. He takes the checker flag. P2 goes to Tuominen, and P3 is Kaliamaki. Great race. Tommy Hellman then takes round one of the RX Academy. Tuominen crossed the line second, but was demoted to sixth by the stewards. Kaliamaki then picks up second from Muru, Ollikainen and Nurmi. Tuominen, as I say, down to sixth. Let's take a look back at the final. Great start by Hellman, and that was key. Obviously, this was Tuominen going to a Joker very early as well, but that was the incident which the stewards have stepped in for.
Yeah, it was only small, but it's front to back, bumper to bumper. Not quite as big of a moment as this, but this is very different because they exited the Joker. They were side by side.
Brilliant performance by Hellman. He takes round one, 2019.
Tommy, a fantastic drive in the final. Lights to flag. You led the race, your first RX Academy victory, and you lead the championship with maximum points. You must be delighted.
Yeah, very happy, and especially here in Holjes with the most difficult track in the world. It's really nice to win here.
And you've been consistent all day. You had a bit of traffic in the early qualifiers, but you got your head down in Q3, set the fastest time, won the semi-final. How confident were you that you could repeat that performance in the final?
Yeah, it's always difficult to repeat it, but I still had the confidence, and it was surprisingly good start, and then got the lead quite quickly, so it was then a bit easier to handle the situation.
And how much was Jussi Pinimäki, the designated spotter for the pole position, how much was he talking to you and pushing you on the radio?
Yeah, he was pushing me, and it was good to get maximum out of mine.
Jimmy, a solid start, a little bit of drama in the first corner, and it was a really, really busy race for you, wasn't it? But how satisfied are you with finishing second in the first round of this season of RX Academy?
Yeah, it's first corners was too tight. So many good drivers, and I need to win. And yeah, I get the two first corner really clear, and then I only push what I can.
And you joked in the middle of the race, didn't you, and came back out in traffic. You were involved in a bit of quite close racing. How nervous were you of your position during the race?
A little bit. I don't think like that. I only try and push what I can.
Marco, you're on pole position in semi-final 2. Didn't make the perfect start, and life got quite difficult from there, but you've battled back, and to finish on the podium, you must be pleased.
Yeah, I think the semi-final didn't get a really good start, and my rhythm for driving was a bit distracted, and but in the final found the speed again and got the result there, but not 100% happy, but we'll try better tomorrow.
What made the difference between finding the pace between the semi-final and the final for you?
Just concentrated more 100% on the final and then it was.
Championship standings after round one. Tommy Howman leads from Jimi Kaliamaki and Marko Muru. Those two equal on points. It could not be closer. Fantastic performance from our top three this weekend. Great close racing between the entire field. We've got another round to come from Holjes tomorrow. The drivers are going to be doing it all again. The start of a brilliant season. RX Academy 2019 is go.